Hi, my name is Darlene, and I would really want to share my testimony of all the things that God has done for me. I was a youth delinquent and left home early and needed God to watch over me all the time. So when I was hitchhiking across half the country, I was at a four-way stop, and there were plenty of cars there for me to hitchhike for. And something made me go away. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I looked around and I figured it felt like God was pushing my back. But I was a real partier, and I ran into a bike club in Florida that I was hanging with, and I supplied them for lots of the drugs that they had. I was pretty messed up on THC and PCP and just everything. And one day I was sitting in a car while my girlfriends ran into the store, and I prayed, Dear God, if your spirit's still on this earth, please make me straight, because I thought the rapture had happened. And it came from my head, and it felt like it just blew out the bottom of my feet. I was shining like a light bulb. My girlfriends came out and they were like, what's wrong with you? And I don't remember what I said to them, but when I got back to the house, I was glowing. And I told everybody I was going to go home. And so I went to work. I was a dancer. And this guy said he would pay for my flight to go back east. And I was very happy because I felt like I was making men lust when I was dancing after that miraculous cleansing of me. And I got my things ready and got outside, and the guy was not there. So I didn't want to go back into work, so I figured I had enough airfare for a city closer to home. And I did that. Well, I got beat up pretty bad for saying no for things. My teeth were knocked out because I didn't want to be somebody's old lady. And I got beat up really well for saying no to sex. But I couldn't see when I decided to go home. And I just figured I would trust God. So I flew halfway home and got out and started hitchhiking again. And the first guy that picked me up when I was coming out of the airport, I told him I was trusting God to get me home. And he started crying and said his daughter left 4 years ago and he hasn't heard from her since. So when I was hopping out of the car, out of the back seat, he only gave me a short ride. I was closing the back door, and read Romans chapter 8 came right out of my mouth, which I didn't mean to say. I think God was speaking through me there. And I started hitchhiking. Oh, I asked him how long it would be till I hit the interstate, and he said 5 minutes down the road. So I hitchhiked, and this guy picked me up in El Camino, and I put my bags in the back, and he would not speak to me. I felt very uncomfortable. And 5 minutes got too far. It felt like 15, so I prayed to God, Dear God, help me be able to see this interstate entrance. So I saw with my eyes a sign that was a small sign that said Pennsylvania Interstate. And I remember the holes in the pole, the grass blades, and saw clearer than I can ever see. So I said, here I am. And I got out of the car, and another fellow was already stopped when I got out of his car. So he had a CB radio, and he was the kind of man you would meet in the nightclub. And he said that he could use it for me. And I told him, I don't need your CB. I have God on my side. I'm trusting God to get me home. So he used the CB anyway, and I don't know what was said because I didn't understand it. And he said there'll be a fellow waiting up the road a little bit for me. So he took me up the road, and this guy had a van, and he was a younger fellow going home from college. And he said he would give me a ride home. And it was quite a ways still. And I had money for food, so I decided to buy him dinner on the way and told him that to get extra that I would pay for it. But when we were talking in his van, and I told him I can't see, he said to me, I have an extra pair of glasses to see if they work on you, because he was headed home from college. And I said, oh, really? And so I tried them on, and I could see as clear as could be. He drove me all the way home, spent the night, went to church with us the next day, and I don't remember his name, but read Romans chapter 8 was one of the things I had to check out as soon as I got home, because I didn't know what I was telling this guy to read. And it feels like the whole Bible compacted into one chapter. And that's not all God did for me. There was why I was getting beat up in my eye, and I've got my glasses broke. The guy had pliers to my eyes with my head next to the couch. And I don't know what hand I moved, but I prayed to get away. And the next thing I remember, I was on the other side of the room. And he said, the only reason I'm going to let you live is because his girlfriend that had committed suicide liked me. And I was staying with them when she did that. Let me stop it for a minute, I guess. Oh, shoot.